Two of the most important, most utilised yet most underrated devices that I use on a regular basis as someone who creates and records instrument-centric sounds are DI and Reamp boxes. These allow me to capture raw instrument sounds and then send them back through an amplifier at a later time across a wide range of recording applications. Walrus Audio have just released their Canvas Reamp box, matching the aesthetic and name of their Canvas DI box from last year. And it might just be the born in the 80s in me speaking, but I really love that Commodore 64 colour scheme they've gone with. Now that I've got the matching set, Walrus have asked if I would do a video explaining what these are, how they work, and most importantly, where it can be helpful to use these things. A DI, or direct injection box, offers the option to take the raw instrument signal, which is typically a high impedance, unbalanced signal if coming from a guitar, and converts it to a low impedance, balanced signal, which is much more stable, being transmitted over long distances, and sends that to a recorder, audio interface, or even a live sound desk. These are useful both live and in the studio, for getting a signal from stage to sound desk in the former, or for capturing a raw take alongside any affected and amplified signal in the latter. By placing a DI box first in the signal chain, I can capture the raw pickup signal from the guitar, while also sending the signal down my usual chain of effects. The Reamp is largely the reverse of the DI process, taking the low impedance line level signal from your audio interface and scaling it back up to a high impedance instrument level signal. It allows you to take a recording of a guitar, vocal, keyboard or other instrument and send it through physical effects or amplifiers, audio devices that expect high impedance instrument signals. This is necessary because matching impedance is hugely important to preserve the integrity of audio signals, and most effects pedals and amplifiers are expecting a high input impedance. Using the Reamp box, I can send the previous raw pickup signal I recorded with the help of the DI box through a different effects chain. Fantastic insurance should something not sound the way I wanted it to with the initial recording. If you are wondering what magic circuitry is going on inside to allow these to perform the impedance transformations without needing external power, then the answer is transformers. These are incredibly simple devices that use the science of induction to increase, reduce, or keep the same the signal impedance by implementing transformers with specific winding ratios. The Reamp contains one transformer, while the stereo DI contains several. This becomes very apparent when holding them, as this is significantly heavier. That's their basic functionality, but allow me to show you a few ways I use these to make my videos. Both the Canvas units are passive, meaning they don't require power, and both are housed in standard-sized pedal enclosures, making them perfect additions to a pedal board. This made it very convenient to slap the DI box onto a travel board alongside an amp simulator pedal and an audio field recorder. The audio recorder capturing both the raw pickup signal from the DI box and also the line out from the amp sim. The amp sim has a headphone out which allowed me to monitor what I was playing on location at 42 Gear Street in Germany last year. The passive nature of the DI box meant I only had to find power for the amp sim pedal, which could be powered all day long from a USB battery pack and one of these tiny Engel power supplies. Importantly, having that raw pickup signal allows me to reamp that performance, almost a year down the line at this point, through any signal chain I desire in the controlled environment of my home studio, and I don't have to be limited by whichever patches I had set up on my sim pedal at the time. these are great for portable on-location recording. Having the DI box on that travel board means I'll always have a raw insurance take that I can reamp later, and even back in the studio I can build myself a reamp pedal board if I have a signal chain that comes after this that I always want to run through. Right now, I've got quite a few instrument parts that I need to record for upcoming content, and when it comes to laying down different parts in a song or working out a solo while recording, I don't want to do all of that with the amplifiers turned on. My workflow involves capturing the raw guitar signal in my DAW and then applying an amplifier plugin to approximate the sound of my real amplifiers while I'm toiling away trying to nail down that perfect performance, which can sometimes take a while. Once I've finally cobbled together something I'm mostly happy with, I can disable the plugins and then reamp the raw signal through my physical effects chain and get the sounds that I wanted all along. Except now I can do it quickly and only have to have the amplifiers turned on for a short period of time. I personally prefer to use my physical effects over the plug-in sounds because I'm better able to achieve exactly what I'm looking for that way. And even if I were to get as close as possible a recreation of my signal chain in the digital realm, there's something about the electrical inertia of voltage changing in physical components that smooths out the reactive nature of parts of the signal that the digital sim just doesn't achieve with its fast sampling. Plus, reamping allows me to use my tape delay setup and other interesting effects which aren't readily available as plugins. And finally, for a lot of my videos where I'm perhaps giving an A-B comparison between different pedals, it's incredibly useful to track only one guitar part and then reamp it through the different effects to give the viewer the most accurate comparison. Again, using a DI box and a reamp box makes this possible. Or if the demonstration requires me to twiddle some knobs for some reason, then it's absolutely advantageous to reamp a previously recorded guitar track so I don't have to put myself through the impossible body horror of growing an extra pair of hands. The Canvas DI I've been using is the stereo version with left and right inputs and outputs. I've just been using the left channel on this since guitars are mono instruments, but this would be perfect for something like a keyboard or synth setup. Slap this on your instrument and all the sound engineer need do is connect up a couple of XLR cables and pan those channels to give you your stereo spread. Don't assume they're going to have two DI boxes there for you, bring your own stereo one. This will also work as a line isolator which does the unbalanced to balanced conversion on a low impedance signal. Same concept as a DI box, just different impedance. The Reamp will receive signals from either a 1/4-inch jack or an XLR cable, depending on which outputs your interface has, and a volume control so you can back down the level of a signal that's perhaps hitting your amplifier a little too hot. There's a really thoughtful inclusion of a high-pass filter to roll off some of the low noise at the bottom of our signal, which we definitely don't need. A phase flip in case we should encounter that problem. A ground lift so we can disconnect the screen at one end of the XLR cable in case we've created a ground loop by connecting our interface to our amplifier. And a dedicated mute button which I found incredibly handy. Now obviously those are not the only ways in which one could utilise a DI or Reamp box, but they are the ways that I'm most frequently using mine, and I think the ways that most of my viewers are probably looking to use them as well. I really like the matching aesthetic that Walrus has come up with here, and these being a pedal format makes it very convenient to integrate these into a pedal board, something I hadn't considered doing with my previous DI and Reamp boxes. If you think either a DI or Reamp box would be useful to you, then you'll find links to these Walrus products in the description and pinned comment underneath this video. You will also find down there a link to my Patreon. Your contribution there helps make all of my videos possible, and lessens my reliance on sponsors and ads to fuel my addiction to being alive. Don't forget to click all the buttons you're supposed to make this video viable to the ever-changing whims of the YouTube algorithm. That's all for now. Keep it loud and stay safe. Seriously though, is anyone else seeing the Commodore 64 colour scheme? What a rad retro design!